Hey, how is everybody doing? Welcome back to the channel. First off, I'll have a video coming out later this week really thanking you guys. But thank you guys so much for 2,000 subscribers. I really would not be here, obviously, without you guys. I'm sure you guys have heard this speech before. But seriously, thank you so much. It has honestly been a journey, and it's been a lot of fun making these videos for you guys, talking Vikings. I think we built a pretty good community here. But anyways, enough of that. Let's talk about Vikings news because we got a lot to talk about today. Kirk to the Panthers. Vikings signing Mitch Trubisky, and the Vikings could potentially add J.C. Jackson, cornerback for the New England Patriots. Got a lot to talk about in this video today, but let's get after it. All right, so the Kirk to the Panthers thing really, it didn't bother me, but it really made me just scratch my head because Phil Mackey, he works with Skol North, and I think he runs one of the podcasts, but he threw out the idea because somebody from Skol North broke that the Panthers were calling the Vikings, whether that's true or not, whatever. But Phil Mackey said Kirk to the Carolina Panthers for their 6th overall pick in this upcoming year's draft. And we would take on, I believe, Sam Darnold's contract just for it somehow works out. When I initially saw this, I was like, this dude's like, I mean, this has a 0% chance of happening. I was like, why would the Panthers want Kirk Cousins for the 6th overall pick? That's such a valuable pick for a guy who makes $44 million next year. But then I started to think about it. The Panthers have an aggressive owner. I think his name's like I forget his name. But they have a very aggressive owner. And if you look at the rest of the NFC South, Tom Brady left. Question marks with the Falcons. Question marks with the Saints. If you bring in Kirk with McCaffrey, with the weapons that they have on the outsides, with a pretty solid defense, I bet you he's thinking, if we get Kirk in the building, we can easily win this division next year. So I don't know. When I initially saw the Kirk to the Carolina Panthers things, kind of laughed it off. Didn't really put too much credibility into it because I still think it's very unlikely that it happens. I'll probably put a 1-2% chance that Kirk plays in Carolina. But this is a Carolina team who could be looking for a quarterback and a very aggressive owner in a division that is very winnable. So just keep your eyes on. I think, I always say when there's smoke, there's fire. But this one, I really am not sure. But Kirk, if we could get the 6th overall pick, you answer that phone and you say, hell yeah, right away. So Mitch Trubisky to the Vikings. I'm sure a lot of you guys are just really got a little cringy right there. But yeah, Mitch Trubisky to the Vikings. I think this is a possibility that I would be very excited about. So let's just say hypothetical world. We're playing fun off-season games. Kirk Cousins goes somewhere, and he's no longer our quarterback, and let's just say we don't get any quarterbacks in return, and we're just sitting with Kellen Mond and Sean Mannion. Mitchell Trubisky would be my number one choice of free agent quarterbacks. More than Teddy, more than Jimmy Garoppolo, more than Matt Ryan, all those guys. I would really consider Mitch, and here's my case for you guys. Mitch Trubisky, obviously this would be a 1-year deal. This would just be you are running the offense for a year or two, do the best you can, and then we'll go from there. It's not a 3-year, multi-million-dollar deal. It'd probably be 1 year, $10 million. Come in and see what you have. My number one case for Mitch, yes, what we've seen with him in Chicago. But he went to Buffalo this past year, sat behind a Josh Allen, sat behind a Brian Dable, sat behind a Joe Brady, all in that quarterback room. I just know he's gotten better. He's taken a huge step forward. I don't know. We haven't seen him play, so we don't know how big that step is. But also, if you surround Mitch with Kevin O'Connell, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and the type of leader and machismo and alpha personality that Mitchell Trubisky has where he could lead a group, I really don't think if it was the fall off between, yes, if we're talking about arm talent, there's a huge fall off between Kirk Cousins and Mitch Trubisky. But if we're talking about overall quarterback and overall leader, like leader of a damn unit, if it's Kirk for $44 million, but then it's Mitch Trubisky at $8 million, I really don't even think it's close. I'm probably going to make a video about this more in depth later on, why I think Mitch Trubisky is potentially a hidden gem in this year's free agency class, but just keep your eyes on it. I think Mitch is a very interesting quarterback. The Vikings should keep their eyes on because you would also get a revengeful Mitch coming inside the division. Just everybody be a little more open-minded about Mitch Trubisky. I think this could be a possibility. All right, so we all know the Vikings need to upgrade their cornerback room, and I've been saying through the draft. But if they were going to go a different route, it would obviously be free agency. And J.C. Jackson, kind of the star corner, he's a very solid corner for the New England Patriots. He kind of tweeted out, or he had a quote that got tweeted out this past week when it's coming to contract extensions. He was just saying, like, hey, the Patriots don't really need me. He was saying, I'm going to go explore my other options. So J.C. Jackson, potentially a huge signing for the Vikings. And I'm huge on Derek Stingley in the draft. You guys know this. Derek Stingley, cornerback from LSU. I'm huge on him. But if we couldn't get him and he goes higher up in the draft and we got free agencies and we can bring in a guy like J.C. Jackson for 1 year, $8 million, 2 years, $12 million, who knows? But this also just goes back on my point. Moving off that $44 million of Kirk, you got to look at that. You got to look at it because it's a big free agency class, and I just don't want to have that anchor of Kirk Cousins on our back. But, it's a very interesting debate because Kirk, he is good. I'm not here saying, Kirk Cousins is a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback. It's just he makes a lot of effing money. Let me know what you guys think down below. Minnesota Vikings news. See you guys next time. Thank you so much for 2K. Skol Vikes.